It's the Rob Carson Show. Are you ready to be podsmacked? Now, here's Rob Carson.
Welcome to episode number 212 of the Rob Carson Show podcast, barring any technical difficulties. Hello and welcome. Glad to have you here. For those of you downloading on iTunes, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Google Plus, Google Play, Audio Boom, SoundCloud, and Patreon, welcome. Glad to have you with me today. We have a jam-packed show, some political, some not-so-political stuff. I think you're going to enjoy it. For those of you watching on Liberty One TV, hello, welcome. Glad to have you guys here. It is a distinct honor and a privilege to be here. If you get a chance to, like I said, check out iTunes, Rob Carson Show. Also our sponsor, Dots Homestyle Pretzels, the best pretzels in the history of mankind. If you can't find them near you, find them somewhere. Go to the company website, whatever it takes, but they're the best pretzels you've ever had in your life. And also, have you become a Liberty One member yet? Would you do that? Okay, it's only 33 cents a day, $10 a month, $99 a year. You get a lot of entertainment, a lot of information, some great pundits, some journalists, some commentators, all of that. You're supporting free speech. Please join today, okay? All right. So the big news of the day is Donald Trump is in trouble for having some Navajo code talkers in the White House. And he said some things while they were there about Elizabeth Warren. Now, I'll play the audio in just 1 second here. But this probably puts me at odds with a lot of people, because I thought it was not the best place to crack the joke, you know. I understand what he was trying to say, and I believe here's what he said to the Navajo code talkers, okay, who are being, and there's 5 of them in the building.
I just want to thank you, because you're very, very special people. You were here long before any of us were here. Although we have a representative in Congress who they say was here a long time ago. They call her Pocahontas. But you know what? I like you because you are special. Okay. Now, he could tell that joke kind of fell flat. You could tell the joke kind of fell flat. It was... it was a jab at Elizabeth Warren, who, by the way, needs to be jabbed on this, because Elizabeth Warren has lied about her Native American heritage, and it has propelled her through Ivy League school and into professorships, and her entire career is based on being 134th Cherokee Indian, supposedly. She refuses to get a DNA test and prove it. Yes or no, she just grew up in Oklahoma, and Grandma told her that she had some Cherokee blood in her, so she decided to use it like somebody would use a handicap parking sticker who isn't handicapped. So Donald Trump was saying, you guys are real Native Americans. We have some people here who use their Native American, say they have Native American heritage, and they don't. Was this a racial slur? No, it wasn't. Elizabeth Warren is a racial slur. Was it timely? Was it? Maybe it was. It might not have been timely. It wasn't a very good joke. It fell flat. It was a joke that kind of fell flat. He was trying to say that there are some people in the Congress who claim to have Native American blood. You are the real deal. That's what I gathered from it. You may disagree. Here, of course, is Elizabeth Warren. She always feigns outrage very well. I mean, when she's given the opportunity, she feigns outrage like she makes you feel guilty like an old school marm, and you brought a piece of chewing gum and not enough for the entire class.
This was supposed to be an event to honor heroes. It is deeply unfortunate that the President of the United States cannot even make it through a ceremony honoring these heroes without having to throw out a racial slur. Look, Donald Trump does this over and over, thinking somehow he's going to shut me up with it. It hadn't worked in the past. It is not going to work in the future.
Wasn't a racial slur. It's a name, Pocahontas. Pocahontas was what they called her originally, and I like that moniker. That moniker was funny. Pocahontas isn't funny. It's just calling somebody Pocahontas. But it's not a racial slur. Elizabeth Warren is a racial slur. Using supposed Native American heritage that cannot be proved, could be proved, but she refuses to take a DNA test. That's the racial slur. All right, that's like a stolen honor. You know, you see these guys who dress up in soldiers' uniforms. They've never stolen valor, I should say. They've never served a day in the military. They don't deserve to wear the uniform, but they use it. Elizabeth Warren has done this with a supposed Native American heritage, which put her as a part of a underclass, and it helped her get through Ivy League school using that. To me, that's disgusting. What Trump said, like I said, I just didn't think it was funny. I didn't think it was funny. You know, you can disagree with me or not. Anyway, Trump's comments sparked outrage, with many condemning the remarks as racist and insensitive. Blah 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 blah. Navajo Nation President Russell Begay said, in this day and age, all tribal nations still battle insensitive references to our people. The prejudice that Native American people face is an unfortunate historical legacy, not necessarily pointing out Trump, but inferring that he said something racially insensitive, and I don't think he did. By the way, 2 of the code talkers are Trump supporters, major Trump supporters. I don't know. I think there are a lot of people looking for a lot of outrage. This, of course, made the press go absolutely bananas yesterday during the presser with Sarah Huckabee Sanders about this.
Jonathan. Sarah, at the event that the president just did with the Navajo code talkers, he referred to Pocahontas being in the Senate. Why did he feel the need to say something that is offensive to many people while honoring the Navajo code talkers, these genuine American
I think
heroes?
What most people find offensive is Senator Warren lying about her heritage to advance her career.
Amen.
She said it was a racial slur. She said it was a racial slur. What is your response to that?
I think that's a...
You've got to be of a race to be slurred. Elizabeth Warren hasn't even proven that she is a member of the Cherokee Nation. So it's not a racial slur against her. It's a slur against her. It is meant to poke fun at her for lying. That's it. Oh, well, Pocahontas over here. Well, prove to me that you're a Cherokee.
ridiculous response.
If I could just follow up with that, because the president was speaking at an event to honor members of the greatest generation, people who fought in World War II, who are in their 80s and 90s now. And the moment had many people online asking whether the president lacks decency. What's your response to that notion?
Look, I think the president certainly finds an extreme amount of value and respect for these individuals, which is why he brought them and invited them to come to the White House and spent time with them, recognizing them and honoring them today. So I think he is constantly showing ways to honor those individuals, and he invited them here at the White House today to meet with them and to also remind everybody about what the historic role that they played many years ago. Kristen.
Why is it appropriate?
Yeah, you know, and this gives the press lots of ammo, and it furthers the narrative that Donald Trump is indeed a racist, and that's unfortunate. Like I said, if I were going to summarize this, I think Elizabeth Warren is the slur. I don't think Donald Trump slurred anybody. I just think it was kind of I don't know. It was he wanted to kind of commune with them. He wants to relate to them, and he kind of did the wink, wink, nod, nod. We've got a guy here, a woman here in Congress who calls herself, a Native American, and you guys are the real deal. That's what I'm saying. Well, here's one of them yesterday talking about what they did, and that's the most important thing about this entire event.
8 hours, over 800 messages. Major Connor also said, without Navajo, Marines would never have taken the island of Iwo Jima.
And most importantly, there were people who were willing to step forward despite the sins of the country against their people. There were people willing to step forward and fight for the United States of America. We all know the sins of our country with regard to Native Americans. And these days are past, but there are some who are willing to step forward and say, we will defend this country. And God bless them for doing that. They did. They did. There were black soldiers in World War II. They're living in the Jim Crow South. They stepped forward, fought for the United States of America. They fought during the Civil War as well. So there were a lot of people who struggled as we tried to become a more perfect union, and we made a lot of mistakes. But there were some who were wronged who said, you know what? I'm going to step up and fight for this country. And God bless them for doing that. All right. So here's what Nancy Pelosi on Sunday said this of John Conyers, who's accused of sexual harassment by a couple of women now.
You said there's now a zero tolerance.
Yes.
John Conyers, what does that mean for him now?
Let's say
in or out?
We are strengthened by due process. Mm-hmm. Just because someone is accused, and was it one accusation? Is it two? I think there has to be. John Conyers is an icon in our country. He has done a great deal to protect women, Violence Against Women Act, which the right wing is now quoting.
Listen how scatterbrained she is, just completely scatterbrained.
He is praising him for his work on that, and he did great work on that. But the fact is, as John reviews his case, which
the Violence Against Women Act and Lilly Ledbetter, the equal pay and all that stuff, and blah 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 blah. But still, they treat women like absolute crap. The second woman is coming forward, Deanna Mayer, former deputy chief of staff for the congressman who worked in his office between 1997 and 2005, says Conyers approached her 3 times. Said the first instance was soon after she was hired when Mr. Conyers forced her to share his hotel room after an event she attended with him. Other incidents included unwanting touching in a car and an attempt to put his hand up her skirt. Conyers' attorney questioned why Miss Marr would continue to work for the congressman if she was being harassed. A line of questioning that Miss Marr, like several other women in the various harassment complaints across other industries, scoffed at, said, I need to earn a living. I was 57 years old. How many people are you going to hire at that age? It's true. And he knew it. And that's why he took advantage of it. Nancy Pelosi has changed her mind, I guess. She drew a good deal of criticism, saying that he was an icon on Sunday. She said this afternoon, I spoke with Melanie Sloan, who worked for Congressman Conyers on the Judiciary Committee in the mid-'90s. Ms. Sloan told me that he had publicly discussed distressing experiences while on his staff. I should say. I find the behavior Ms. Sloan described inappropriate and disappointing. I find that Ms. Sloan, I believe what Ms. Sloan has told me. Do you know why she believes what Ms. Sloan told her? Because she knows it. She knew it happened. These people are thick as thieves. Cokie Roberts said of the White House press corps, everybody knew who the sexual harassers were. Everybody knew. Don't get on an elevator with John Conyers. Everybody knew. Nancy Pelosi knew. Bull crap. Thick as thieves. Back to Nancy Pelosi. Ms. Sloan is a respected ethics expert and attorney, also gave me valuable feedback into the substantive reforms many of us in Congress are advocating to foster a climate of respect and dignity, blah, 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 blah. She said, I have not had the opportunity to speak with the other women, one of whom cannot speak publicly because of the secretive settlement process in place, she concluded. That ridiculous system must be ended, and victims who want to come forward to the ethics committee must be able to do so. And everybody knew. She knew. She knew. I played this yesterday, but here's Cokie Roberts talking about John Conyers and the elevator. Here, she knew. She knew.
I mean, we all talked about for years.
A little bit at a time.
Well, don't get in the elevator with him. And every female in the press corps knew that, right? Don't get in the elevator with him. Now people are saying it out loud. And I think that does make it.
That is a change.
Why in the hell didn't you say it before? Because you put politics before anything else, Cokie Roberts, you liberal lefty, frickin' NPR journalist, moved in the mainstream media, leftist. 99% of the press corps, particularly women, all leftist, all covered for these people, even though they were being victimized, because politics are more important. Unbelievable. Situation Room, Wolf Blitzer last night, Representative Kathleen Rice from New York, the Democrat, called out Al Franken and John Conyers with regard to whether or not they should stay in Congress.
I think if you ask any person on the street, do you think the action that CBS took with Charlie Rose was appropriate, or Louis C.K. or anyone else in Hollywood, Harvey Weinstein? They would say, yes, they took the right action. Why can't we do the same thing in Washington? What is so problematic, and the reason why I'm being so vocal on this issue, Wolf, is because what we are saying in Washington is there's a set of rules that apply to people who are not politicians in Washington. And there's a totally different set of rules that apply to elected officials serving in Congress.
Now, that is why Donald Trump was elected. That is why Donald Trump was elected. That is the swamp. There are people who live by a different set of rules in Washington, D.C., and this is copyright Rob Carson, 2016. We're sick and tired of people going to Washington, D.C., spending their entire lives telling us how to live ours. That's what it was all about. While they're telling you to ride in a crappy little electric car, they ride in motorcades. While they live in 10,000 square foot mansions and burn 10 times the carbon footprint of a normal house, they want you to use poison curlicue light bulbs. That if you drop on the floor, you have to cut the carpet out, open your windows, and aerate the place so you don't die. That's what we're talking about.
And that's why there is such distrust of government and Congress, just in general, across the board. People are seeing us circle the wagons and protect our own, whether it's Donald Trump not coming out against Roy Moore and supporting him to the extent that he is, or if it's Nancy Pelosi protecting John Conyers and saying that she leaves it up to him to make the right decision.
Now, one of these things is not like the other. With regard to Donald Trump, he is not campaigning for Roy Moore. He is leaving it up to the people of Alabama to decide. There is photographic evidence with regard to Al Franken, and there is a payout by John Conyers' office to one woman to the tune of $27,000 for sexual harassment. So they're a little bit different. Here's a little bit more from Kathleen Rice.
For all of these women who make these have made these credible allegations, Wolf, there were, to a story, professional repercussions for every single one of those women who were harassed. There should be professional repercussions for every single harasser.
Amen.
And it seems like the private sector has it right, and us in Congress don't. And guess what?
And when we went through the Clarence Thomas hearings with Anita Hill, we all paid for it. The private sector paid for the sins of what happened between those two people. Government didn't pay for it. They issued some edicts. They acted all offended and everything, and then they went right on grabbing ass, right on forcing women to perform sexual favors, to get legislation passed, forcing women to perform sexual favors, to move up on Capitol Hill. All happened. Everybody knew about it.
What? We weren't elected by a board of directors in Washington. We were elected by the people. And what's important is that when scandals like this happen, we can't circle the wagons and protect our own. There's no reason for the public to trust us if we can't even call people out and say, you have betrayed the public trust, and there has to be a consequence.
Okay. Well, it's nice to get your soundbite. Now let's do something about it. I mean, you know, on Capitol Hill, they actually had a creep list. Did you know that? Yeah. They had a creep list. Yeah. Women knew about it. The press corps knew about it. Women who were new to Capitol Hill, they all knew about it. They were warned about it. Unbelievable. Perfect song for these people. Unbelievable. We heard about Melanie Sloan. Melanie Sloan worked in Conyers' office, and she actually spoke yesterday on Fox News. Here's what Melanie Sloan, in her own words, had to say about working with John Conyers.
Well, initially when I went to work for the House Judiciary Committee, which, by the way, was a great honor, and I was thrilled to be there. It was a terrific job. I worked on crime policy. Over time, my relationship with Mr. Conyers deteriorated as he became increasingly abusive to me. He would scream at me and berate me. And I know I've seen some tweets just saying, oh, well, you know, you're a snowflake. You can't have a tough boss. I can handle a tough boss. Congressman and now a minority leader, Chuck Schumer, was also my boss at one point, and he's a tough boss, but it's really not in the same, nothing in the same ballpark. Conyers would berate me.
He was a dick. He was a dick.
Horribly.
And I don't care who you are, you have no right to be a dick.
And he once pulled me out of a meeting with domestic violence advocates, no less, and started screaming at me in the hallway and berating me, I believe, for not wearing stockings on some 100-degree Washington day.
Unbelievable.
There were other occasions where other things happened. I had organized a field hearing in New York City on a crime policy matter, and then he brought his young child with him, and then he told me to leave the stage and go backstage and babysit the child for the entire period of the hearing that I'd organized. And then there was the other instance where I was called to go into his office and he was walking around in his underwear.
This is the kind of entitlement that Democrats frequently say exists with rich people and white people. This is the kind of entitlement, this kind of I am above you kind of attitude, a disregard for people. And I might even venture to say maybe it was racial. He's a black guy. She's a white woman. Might have been a little bit going on too. I don't know. So many people are willing to throw race around. Why in the hell can't I? White, right? White. Let's see. Al Franken. Al Franken talked to a radio or TV station in Minneapolis, WCCO TV. And, he wants to get back to work for the American people. And he doesn't recall anything, but he's going to learn from it. He doesn't remember what he did, but he's going to learn from it. Here's a little bit from Al Franken, WCCO.
I understand that. And I am going to have to do everything I can going forward to be enormously sensitive. I apologize to these women.
And he just sort of came at me.
The first allegation that surfaced was from radio host Leanne Tweeden, who said that during a USO tour in 2006, shortly before he announced his run for the Senate, Franken forcibly kissed her against her will.
With Leanne Tweeden, I said with her that I had a different recollection of the kiss we had during the rehearsal for...
He had a different recollection. Unbelievable. So you could say if you rape a woman, she said I raped her. I had a different recollection of it. I was pretty sure she was enjoying it. I mean, really, honestly.
But
what is your recollection of that kiss?
My recollection of that kiss is different from hers. It
Unbelievable.
Is that we were rehearsing a...
what would be the point in having to rehearse a kiss? You don't have to rehearse a kiss. You can rehearse a line or two, but the kiss is superfluous. It doesn't matter.
A sketch where I kiss her, and it's really to set up a soldier coming up to kiss her.
Okay, whatever. You're just such an a-hole. Here's a little bit more about when he's asked about the why he would grab women's butts during photo ops.
Are they mistaken that their butt was grabbed? Is that what you're saying?
I am not saying that. I don't remember these. As I said, I take thousands of photos, so I don't remember these particular photos.
I think with all due respect, I think people are going to look at this and find it hard to believe that someone such as yourself wouldn't know that they were grabbing.
He knew, and he did it because he could.
Somebody's butt.
I can understand how people would feel that way.
But have you ever placed a hand on some woman's butt?
I can't say that hasn't happened.
So there he is. He's admitting he grabbed women's asses. That he just admitted it, folks. He said he did it. He needs to go bye-bye.
I take thousands and thousands of pictures. We sometimes in crowded and chaotic situations.
Yeah. And when it's crowded and chaotic, your fist just automatically clenches on women's butts. I have been there. It just automatically happens. It's crowded. It's chaotic. You're reaching for like a lifesaver, so you grab a woman's ass.
I can't say I haven't done that, and I am very sorry if these women experience that.
I'm very sorry that these women experience that. It's like somebody else did it. Honestly, what an awful, insincere, dishonest, wretched human being. Here he is talking about what essentially was an attempt to molest by the radio host in L.A.
Lindsay Mez said you molested her.
Oh, that's actually, this is the woman at the fair.
On Facebook right afterwards. I think these women feel this goes way beyond disrespect.
I understand that.
No, you don't.
I have a different recollection.
I have a
Franken
different
says
recollection.
he's going back to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
I can win back the respect of the people
No, you can't.
of Minnesota.
No, you can't.
And I understand I have a long way to go.
No, you can't. You're done. Get the F out of Congress. You are finished. Get the F out of Congress. You know, there's only so much you can do for some people, and Al Franken really isn't worth the time to try and rehab him. He's just not worth the time. To hell with him. This is pretty funny. There's a guy, New York Representative Gregory Meeks was on MSNBC speaking to host Chris Jansing about how he regularly kisses every woman when he arrives in a room at a campaign event. And he just ended up sounding really, really creepy. And it almost kind of sounded like he's heading off criticism and possibly accusation at the pass.
You know, there's things that all of us got to be questioning. You know, for example, I'll just say something about, where I've done business myself. So what you got to rethink. So when I go into a room and there's a bunch of women sitting at the table, I go into one of my campaigns, generally, not thinking of anything else, you go around and I would kiss every woman on the cheek.
Really?
Maybe I shouldn't do that. I've got to think about that, to be quite honest with you. We've got to rethink, because I've not thought about it. I thought about it as saying that, hey, here I am greeting you in a pleasant way. And I've had some women when I felt or looked somebody that I felt uneasy, I wouldn't kiss them. But then others, when I just passed them by, say, hey, how come you kissed this one and you didn't kiss me?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. They missed that peck of the cheek from you, sir.
But we got to rethink on all of that, because
and I agree with you, and that's one thing.
No, we don't need to rethink all of that. We don't, because people know what the difference between right and wrong. All right, people know the difference between right and wrong. It's cute if you've got a baby or a toddler, and a woman is holding her, and the kid grabs the booby. Doesn't know any better. Doesn't know any better. All right, we are grown men. We are taught from grade school what private parts are. We are taught what is appropriate and what is inappropriate. And even if we aren't taught what's inappropriate, we know what it is. Don't accept this bull crap, especially if you're a woman. Don't accept this crap. It's a line. It's a line of BS. And the only reason men are still able to do it is because a lot of women, like Cokie Roberts, it just happens. And they don't say anything. Or Charlie Rose's executive person. Oh, that's Charlie being Charlie. No, it's not. Representative Al Green's been kind of quiet lately. Apparently, he released a statement intending to explain away allegations of sexual assault against him in 2008. Apparently, there was a joint release by Green and the woman who accused him of sexual assault in 2008, Lucinda Davis. In the present climate, we wish to jointly quiet any curious minds about our former and present relationship with one another. The statement said, we are friends and have been long friends. At an unfortunate time in our lives when both of our feelings were hurt, we hastily made allegations and charges against one another that have been absolutely resolved. As consenting adults, we both regret our former claims and have since then maintained our respectful friendship, apparently. Now, here's what happened. She's apparently a cokehead. All right. So she claims she suffered a hostile work environment, claimed sexual harassment, demanded $1.8 million. Green sued her, saying she was using their sexual relationship to shake him down at the behest of unnamed conspirators. Boy, these are nice people, aren't they? Daniels unknowingly dialed the congressman while she was allegedly buying cocaine. Green submitted the voicemail. In the recording, Daniels is heard snorting cocaine immediately before questioning whether it was cut with some other substance and being assured that it was straight off the kilo. Daniels asked for the purchase price of the drugs, which she calls her Tuesday special price. In response, the drug dealer says the drugs are $40. Green said Daniels acted sluggish at work, as though she was under the influence of drugs, slurred her speech. As if under drug influence, he claims she fell asleep on the phone in the middle of telephone conversations with staff and the congressman and had a general appearance of incoherence at times due to apparent drug use, but apparently did not stop them from having sex. There you go. One more thing. Roy Moore's fighting back. Roy Moore, I just read another poll. He appears to be ahead in the polls in Alabama over his Democrat competition. He has got a brand new ad. This is his ad, which is touting his ability to work with the president and also the fact that this is he believes, a political attack.
Roy Moore, and I approve this message.
5 state campaigns.
My name's Roy Moore, and I approve this
There we
message.
go. Try it again.
5 state campaigns. 40 years of honorable service. Roy Moore has been intensely scrutinized and not a hint of scandal. But 4 weeks before the election, false allegations, a scheme by liberal elites and the Republican establishment to protect their big government trough. But we know a vote for Roy Moore means conservative judges, tax cuts, and rebuilding the military. Roy Moore, the right choice.
Okay. And like I said, the people of Alabama will decide. It is not a metaphor for the Republican Party. It does not mean that the entire Republican Party are a bunch of pedophiles, which is some Democrat pundits are saying, which is ridiculous. You know, it'd be like saying that if you supported Bill Clinton in the 1990s, that you supported banging interns. You know? Keith Olbermann, one of the least influential people in America, just a mean-spirited, kind of an awful person. Should have stuck with sportscasting, but decided to become a political tool and had a really bad show on TV for a while where he did the worst person in the world and all this stupid crap. He has announced that he is retiring from political commentary. He feels like his work is done. Here's the beginning of his announcement.
I'm Keith Olbermann, and this is The Resistance. I'm confident now, even more so than I have been throughout the last year, that this nightmare presidency of Donald John Trump will end prematurely and end soon. And I am thus also confident that this is the correct moment to end this series of commentaries.
Now, the reason why he's letting this series of commentaries end is because nobody is listening. They have no influence whatsoever. Nobody's using them. Nobody's using highlights from them. MSNBC's not using highlights from them. None of the other shows are using highlights from them. Nobody's talking about them unless you're a conservative and you're making fun of them. He supposedly is leading the resistance, dear God in heaven, that he would grab the helm of the resistance, Keith Olbermann. This is why nobody will hire him, because he's an ass. He says his work is done, even though he really has had zero influence on anything while he's been doing these commentaries. Am I right? Yeah, I think I am. Here he is signing off for the very last time.
Thank you for all the kind words and all the support. Have fun storming the castle. My work here is done. Matter of fact, so is Trump's. Resist, remove, peace.
The dumbest sign-off in the history of broadcasting.
Remove, peace.
You will be missed, Mr. Olbermann, by very few. Okay. All right, let's move on to some Christmas stuff here, guys. Black Lives Matter plans a Black Christmas to resist white capitalism, which shows that they really aren't about helping Black lives. They're really just a bunch of communists. They are. They're launching the Black Christmas Initiative to urge people to buy from Black-owned businesses during the holidays to resist white capitalism. Black Lives Matter Los Angeles called on people to refuse to buy from white-owned businesses and take the money to invest in the Black community November 25th through January the 1st. This will fall right on its face. Donald Trump embodies white capitalism. It's white capitalism. If you are anti-Trump, you should hold back your resources and from him and the like. Dr. Melina Abdullah, who is a hater and a racist and an awful person, a Black Lives Matter organizer and professor of Pan-African Studies, further explained that the boycott is rooted in Black Lives Matter's attempts to get rid of a state-sanctioned violence that is often found in white supremacist capitalism. It's white supremacist capitalism now. Oh, this is great. This season, more than others, Black Lives Matter is asking people to wake up, to be woke, in other words, to be conscious of our economic power and to protest, not just in the streets, but in the malls. Black Lives Matter is dreaming of and building for a hashtag Black Christmas where we divest from white corporations and invest in building Black community. Rather than lining the pockets of Trump and other white supremacist capitalists, donate to Black-led organizations that are building new liberatory structures in our communities. Yeah, that's working real well. That's really working real well in places like Ferguson and every city in the country that is populated by minorities. That's working so well. And there's a reason why white capitalism isn't in your area. You know why? Because the places you live are awful. because of the cultural rot that's going on there, because of the collapse of the family. And you can sit there and you can wallow in hate and you can wallow in all this, but realize that a lot of supposed white capitalist companies employ a lot of black people. You idiot. Absolute hate-filled, racist moron. Communist. I could go on, but I'm not going to, because it's taking me out of my Christmas spirit. Canadian Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario has some super interesting new information for you. Now, you've heard of the old LGBTQ. They're saying, can you say LGBTTTIQQAAPP? Okay? Yeah. They're saying that with sensitivity training, they're getting to know all these groups that apparently you don't know about. You've got your lesbian, which is, L for lesbian, G is for gay, which lesbians are gay women. Okay. Genderqueer, this is a new one. Genderqueer, denoting or relating to a person who does not subscribe to conventional gender direct distinctions, but identifies with neither, both, or a combination of male and female genders. That's a person who is mentally ill. A bisexual, we know that. Demisexual is a person who does not experience sexual attraction unless they love somebody. That's a demisexual, apparently. Transgender, we know what that is. Transsexual is when you've actually had it cut off or sewed on. Two-spirits, I guess you have to be a Native American for that one. Not kidding. You've got to be that. Intersex is a hermaphrodite. They call it that. Queer is an umbrella term used to describe all people who aren't normal. Questioning is a term for people who are still deciding where they are going to fall on the list. Again, these are people who are probably mentally ill. Asexual, have no interest in sex. These are people who've been married for over 30 years. Allies are people who support LGBTQ, RSTs, and all these, and you're cool with it, even though you're straight. Pansexual is just a more confusing way to say bisexual, I guess. Polyamorous means that you can love more than one partner at one time. There you go. That's what's being taught in schools in Canada and coming to a school near you. I might add that as well. Angela Chang, Scary Mommy. That's the name of her blog. She said that at Thanksgiving, you should not tell your daughter to kiss a relative when they come in the house or give them any sign of affection, because that is a precursor for them being sexually being taken advantage of later in life because of that. So if somebody buys you dinner, you feel like you got to put out. That's what this insane woman said. Girl Scouts of America said the same thing. They are bananas as well. She writes of Santa Claus. I was filled with shame and regret as I thought about previous years when I would plop my daughter onto Santa's lap and laugh while taking pictures of her frantically trying to get away. I fully admit that I thought it was cute and funny in an I know she's actually safe kind of way, but she didn't think she was safe. I put my child in a strange man's lap and told her she had to stay there until, although she was uncomfortable, so he would give her gifts. Yeah. So this is the latest. That now young girls will eventually feel like they need to put out to get gifts, I guess, right? That's what she's trying to say. That's what she's trying to say. Oh, the swamp is beginning to drain on the Democrat side. Luis Gutierrez will not be seeking re-election. Now, I thought he was the most popular guy in the world. He's calling for Trump's impeachment just 2 weeks ago. One of the six senators or six congressmen who were calling for Trump's impeachment, he's decided he's going to back away. Now, this is kind of surprising to me because I thought for sure that he would certainly be reelected. And the Democrats were going to take over both houses of Congress in the next 4 years. He's held office for 24 years, since 1993. He's going to be replaced, I guess, by Jesus Choi Garcia. So we'll see. Finally, I got two stories about Christmas trees. One of them, the Christmas tree can kill you. I don't know if you knew this. There is a Christmas tree syndrome. There has been a rise in respiratory illnesses dubbed Christmas tree syndrome in the weeks before and after December the 25th. Apparently, the fir harbors mold, which can multiply in warm temperatures of your living room and aggravate the lungs of sufferers of the condition. Fake trees are not necessarily a safer bet either because they can gather dust and mold while they've been stored in the loft or the basement or whatever and cause breathing problems. What you should do if you have a real tree, hose down the tree before you bring it in the house. This will help wash off the allergens. Keep the tree in the coolest part of the house. If you notice any symptoms, get rid of the tree straight away. Wipe down your artificial tree and decorations with a damp cloth to remove the dust. When you pack the tree and decorations away, use plastic bags and boxes so they will likely collect less dust. Christmas tree can kill you. And finally, people are paying up to $1,000 for upside-down Christmas trees. Have you seen this? Upside-down Christmas trees, kind of a big deal, I guess. $500 at Target, Home Depot. The tilted trees are getting a fashionable makeover for the likes of Karl Lagerfeld, who has a hand in decorating an inverted evergreen tree with tinsel, silver ribbons, and glass bubbles hanging upside down at the ceiling in the 5-star London Hotel Claridge, apparently. So the artificial Douglas fir trees come sans pine needle cleanup. Stores like Walmart, which sold out of its champagne-colored upside-down trees for $250. Kohl's has a 7.5-foot tree that comes pre-lit that's upside down. And the 7'3" version, $160 at Home Depot. Now, apparently this represents the Holy Trinity. I don't know what it is. Central Europeans did it to represent the Holy Trinity by hanging the tree upside down in the 12th century. No idea. Had no idea. But the only problem is you got to glue the packages to the ceiling. That's not going to work very well. All right. Guys, that's going to do it for me today. I greatly appreciate you joining me. If you can become a member of Liberty One TV, it would be greatly appreciated. The cost is only 33 cents a day, $10 a month, $99 a year. Would greatly appreciate you checking it out. I'm going to be adding all of my designs for politically incorrect gear to tpublic.com/conservatives, but it's also going to be available on Liberty One TV's store. All right. So watch it there. In the meantime, thank you for listening. God bless you, and I will see you again tomorrow.
The following transmission has been encrypted to protect you, the listener.
Okay. Here we go.
Thanks for listening to the Rob Carson
See you
Show.
Guys.
Friend him on Facebook at Carson Show, on Twitter at Rob Carson, and on Instagram. I think Facebook and Twitter are enough for now. We'll see you soon.